Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to Chess with Rahul,
Okay.
where
The next day.
today you're learning one rook checkmate. Yes, you already learned double queen checkmate, double rook checkmate, one queen checkmate. Now you're learning one rook checkmate. Yes. Without any further ado, let's get started. So we are going to learn one rook checkmate. So in this position, we have one rook and we have to checkmate. So we already learned one queen checkmate. Now we are just learning one rook checkmate. One rook checkmate is also the same as one queen checkmate. It's very easier. But as we used in one queen checkmate, we did not use any king in the beginning in one queen checkmate. But with one rook checkmate, you are using the rook and the king both at once. Yes. So let's begin. There are 3 points to be remembered. So one is whenever you are able to move the rook front and make a box, you have to move the rook front. So whenever you're not able to move the rook front, you have to bring the king front. So whenever you're not able to bring the rook front or the king front, you have to bring the king back. There are 3 points you should remember. And one more thing, you can only give one check in the entire game in this position. From this position, you can only give one check in the entire game and you checkmate your opponent. So one check that is we use that to checkmate our opponent. So I told you there are 3 things. I will explain what is that: rook front, king front, and king back. So whenever you're able to take your rook front, shrinking the box, you have to take your rook front without giving any checks. Whenever you're not able to take the rook front, take the king front. If you're not able to take anything piece front, take the king back. Let's start. So we have to move our rook to e3, making a box over here. So this is a box. Now the king can't come out of this box. Now king has to move back. If he moves his king here, there are 3 options. We'll see what to do with all 3 options. If he moves his king here, so we have to try to take the rook front. That's the first condition. Can we bring our rook here? No, we can't bring our rook here because opponent can capture the rook. So if I bring the rook over here, that would be check. So we can only use check for checkmate. So second condition, that is king front. I bring the king front. Okay, now king goes there. Can I take the rook front? Yes, I can take the rook front to this square, to e4 square. I can bring the rook front to e4 square. The king comes back. Can I take the rook front? No. Can I take the king front anywhere? No. So third option, third point, king back. So king goes back. Can I take the rook front? Yes, I can take without giving any checks. I can take the king front. King goes over there. I bring the king front because I can't move the rook front. I have to bring the king front. The king comes back. Can I bring the rook front? No. Can I bring the king front? Yes. Bring the king. What is bringing the king front? It's not in this direction only. It could be the direction should be towards opponent's king. That is the front for us for now. So we have to take our pieces to opponent's king towards opponent king. That is front for us now. Okay. King goes over there. Can we bring our rook front? Yes, we can bring our rook front without giving any checks. We bring our rook front. King goes over there. Can I bring our rook front? No. This will be captured. This is shut. So king front. King goes over there. Again, can I bring my rook front? Yes, I can bring my rook front. King goes over there. Can I take my rook front? Yes, I can bring the rook front. King goes to c7. So this is the position that you need to create. What is the position? You have to make your opponent king stay in only 2 squares. These 2 squares, that's the first one. These 2 squares, these 2 squares, or these 2 squares, these 2 squares, or these 2 squares, these 2 squares, or these 2 squares. There are 8 positions that you need to make your opponent stay in. And after that, you bring the king. You should not bring a king from this side. That would be a stalemate. And we can't blunder stalemate. We know what is stalemate. Stalemate is a position where it's our opponent's turn and opponent doesn't have any. The king comes back. So I take the king. So my king should be facing like this in front of the opponent king. When the king goes back, I checkmate my opponent. I checkmated my opponent in 14 moves. I think you can see here. Because of using the box theory and using 3 points that I told you. Whenever you have option of taking the rook to shrink the box, only to shrink the box and push the king back without giving any checks, you have to bring the rook front. Whenever you're not able to take the rook front, take the king front. Whenever you're not able to take rook front or the king front, take the king back. There is no rook back, only in one condition. That is, because this is the only time you bring your rook back. So this is white's turn, and we have to checkmate our opponent. So, but in this position, I told you that can you take your friend? No. If you apply that three rules, it will not be a checkmate because when you bring your king back, he will go to the corner. Now it's not a checkmate. The king will run to a7. So I have to bring it back. He will also bring it back. So what should I do? Now there is a move called waiting move. There is a move called waiting move. So waiting move should not be breaking any of the box. So we already created a box. It should not be broken. So the waiting move should be in this line. Moving your rook to this line. You could move your rook to c5, c6, c4, c3, c2 or c1. Let me move my rook to c3. So king goes to the corner. I'm forcing my opponent. I'm telling my opponent that I don't need this move. I just wasting my move by waiting a move and passing your move back to you. You have to play. After you play, I will checkmate. So that is what a waiting move called. Which doesn't harm your position in any way. Now you learned one rook checkmate. Now you can easily checkmate your friends. And the one guy who is telling you that you can't checkmate with one rook, now you can show him to checkmate with one rook. Yes. So that's it for today. So we'll see you. I will see you in the next video. Bye.